But we're going to talk baseball first. You know, all the changes that we spent the last year talking about, you know, baseball has changed. I mean, it's undeniable. They double down on this stuff when it comes to playoff time.
I think it's great. And it's interesting to see how the rotations all get switched around. Obviously, you have your number one and your number two. But now your third best pitcher might be out of the bullpen. Your fourth best pitcher might be out of the bullpen. And your fifth best pitcher might be out of the bullpen. And at any given time, it could all be rearranged, especially with short series. We have 5-game series and, of course, 7-game series and then the World Series. But it's just fun for me to watch and see how this sort of plays out because it's kind of like, you know, when they have a hot bat, you want that bat in the 3-hole or the 4-hole. If you got a hot arm, you might see it again 2 to 3 times before the series is done.
Yeah, and, you know, it's all math driven.
Yeah, that's why I'm no good at it. But no, I mean, it is funny, man. Like, you know, every baseball fan thinks that the game reached perfection in their era. And as it becomes more math-driven and more analytical and all these things, right, it just keeps evolving. And it keeps getting more entertaining for some and more boring for others, right? But no, I do find these series, this postseason especially, unbelievably entertaining.
But it's not boring at all. The reason why I say that is because you could have a decisive game where a reliever starts and a starter ends it. And you could also have a moment where, okay, that reliever's not performing very well, allows 3 or 4 runs. Just like the Dodgers and the Braves, you could be down by 5 runs and then come immediately right back with your hitters.
Don't misunderstand. I agree with what you're saying in that point. I guess what I'm getting at is the length of the games again, right? Yeah. That's been the big complaint of the playoffs. Well, part of that is because you're seeing 5, 6, 7 pitchers a night, right? Like that takes time and things going arm for arm and arm for bat. So.
And it would take more without that rule about the 3-batter rule.
Yeah.
It would even be longer. You know, I got a theory. There's 2 teams that are largely responsible for this, not the mathematicians. The Arizona Diamondbacks, we talked about that before, when they had Randy Johnson and Curt Schilling, pitched them every day against the Yankees in the World Series. And then the other was the Kansas City Royals, which demonstrated that relief pitching is a lot cheaper than starting pitching, and these small market teams can compete if you change the landscape a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's all about survival, right? And I think a good point to that is these small market teams actually wanting to survive. Because how many years did we see your Cincinnati's and your Pittsburghs just like, I don't care. We're going to make our money at the gate. And we don't have to make playoff pushes for anything. No, it's great for the entertainment of baseball. It's great for leveling the playing field. And it's also great for these guys that are now getting looks to majors that never would have gotten them in traditional playoff baseball senses, right? Like, it's fantastic.
I also find it interesting. You might have to hide your ace. I think the Dodgers did this with Clayton Kershaw for a couple of years where he wasn't really performing well as a number one. Same thing with Garrett Cole this year with the Yankees where they put him in that number one spot. He just wasn't good against the Red Sox. Changes the entire fortune of the Yankees going forward, whether or not they should bring Boone back. I know we'll get into that. But your number one might not be your number one at that moment. So now you've got to strategize and get around it. I wouldn't say hide him, but keep him away from maybe the big moments and get your hot arm.
Yeah, you asked the Red Sox about Chris Sale. Yeah, I do. My Unfinished Business takes us, it's 1968 baseball, and even I was surprised at how different the game was played back then. So we'll get to that later.